What the public must realize is timber is also a very important resource. If it is deemed clear-cut logging will damage the most important resource in any given area, alternative logging methods must be found or the area must be deferred. As a professional, I believe clear-cut logging, if managed properly, will still maintain the water resource. I am far from convinced selective logging is a viable alternative to protect this resource. It must be made clear, one of the major causes of flooding and creek instability is road construction. Selective logging will only increase the amount of road required in any given area, thus increasing the risks of siltation and flooding. If we are to manage only for water resource, we cannot log on the Roberts Creek face. The question must be asked, will this benefit all of the resource values present in the area? Point number 2 on community involvement. The time has come and the public is speaking out strongly for their input in the management of the forest resource. The forest industry has been bombarded by a myriad of special interest groups with concerns regarding the management of the forest resource. The resources of the forest belong to British Columbia, and we, as British Columbians, have every right to demand input into the management of our forests. However, the decision-making process must remain with those people to whom the resource has been vested. The right and responsibility to manage the resources of the forest have been conferred to the Ministry of Forests. They have a duty to plan the use of the forest resource so that the harvesting of timber and the realization of fisheries, wildlife, water, recreation, and other resource values are coordinated and integrated in consultation and cooperation with other ministries and agencies and with the private sector. The point is, the Ministry of Forests is responsible for forest management on public lands. I believe this is as it should be. I personally would like to see this taken one step further. I believe that we must take a good deal of the decision-making process out of the hands of the accountants and economists in the ministry and place it in the hands of the forester, who is in a better position to make hard decisions regarding the forest resource. Number 3 on community, setting up a community forest. In a covering letter to the district manager attached to my response to the Concerned Coast Residents position paper, I stated, possibly it is time to consider the establishment of a community forest on the Lower Sechelt Peninsula. With regional and public involvement in what is ours, the contentious land use issue may be more readily resolved. The community forest can be totally managed by the Forest Service or totally managed by another governing body. One point that must be made clear is even if a community forest is established, the final decision-making process lies with the Ministry of Forests. And point number 4, just a few things that I would like to comment on that I would personally like to see changed and may go a long way in easing public concerns over this forest resource. Point number 1, the preparation of an integrated resource management plan for the Roberts Creek face. The area of concern should take into account the entire face, including younger age classes of timber. Point number 2, the calculation of an allowable annual cut for the Roberts Creek face and the management of the resource based on that calculation. Point number 3, the reduction in opening size of clear cuts to a maximum of 10 hectares, preferably around 8 hectares. Point number 4, more road development on the Roberts Creek face, accessing the entire face, will better allow us to manage the resources present in the area. Point number 5, a complete and updated inventory of the forested area on the Roberts Creek face. And lastly, more intensive silviculture, especially in younger age classes. There are currently hundreds of hectares on the Roberts Creek face in the 40 to 60 year range that are stagnating and will produce questionable crops if left in their present state. In closing, I would like to invite those people who have taken the time to organize this meeting to take some more time and organize a field outing, which I would be happy to lead, to have some on-site discussion regarding the concerns we are addressing tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim. Perhaps at the end of the meeting, if anybody is interested in doing that, we should pass a sheet around with a pen so you can put your name, address, and phone number. Now I'd like to call Barry Pearson, please.
Thank you. Well, I haven't got anything prepared or anything here, but I would just like to give you some of my history and why I am selective logging these days. I started out on the high lead logging, on slackline machines, went to the conventional high lead, from there to cat logging. And what I learned from cat logging is that I left all the stuff in the bush that I didn't need to take out. I left it all stand so it didn't create a mess. From that, going back in 10, 15, 20 years' time, I could log that same piece of property over again. There are sites on this peninsula that I've logged 3 times. One I just completed in Seychelles, I logged 20 years ago, and I took another 13 loads off the same piece of property just before.